this might be a good chance kasi when we were doing that musical, we didn't really have a chance to interact with the audiences, and so this platform actually right now gives us a chance to really like talk about it and share many other stories behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it would be good to share, Doc Nick, ano yung, who introduced ba the idea of doing a musical or a play about Mabini? I think it came from you.
Yeah.
I mean, what
I
prompted you to choose
actually,
Mabini?
I had always admired Mabini, but marami ayaw gawin ayaw gawin ng play kasi wala daw love story. Pero nung 150th anniversary na niya, sabi ko, kailangan talaga gumawa ng isang dula tungkol kay Mabini.
And that was like how many years ago?
2015. Pero kinusap ko si Nanding noon, earlier pa. So, we opened in July 2015, di ba? So, a year before that, actually binanggit ko na sa kanya na if there's going to be a play on Mabini, I'd like to write it kasi matagal ko na talagang gustong gawin yon.
And if I remember the first time it was presented to me, it wasn't a musical,
Hindi,
it was a straight play.
Kasi ang nangyari, so nag-research ako, binasa ko lahat yung mga sinulat niya, tsaka yung, especially yung mga biography din, si Mahul, pagkatapos yung kay Agoncillo. Puno-puno na yung utak ko, so sabi ko na kailangan isulat ko to. I wasn't sure kung anong form talaga, basta sinulat ko na lang muna. Tapos sabi ko, I'll present it to you guys and then you help me decide. So, di ba, nagbasa muna tayo January of 2015. I remember. Sa bahay mo nun. And then, we all decided that there are many places na parang gusto niyang maging musical talaga.
Yeah.
So, we decided I should rewrite it talaga as a musical.
But even before that, I do remember the first time I read the first early drafts of the script when it was not yet a musical. Parang what struck me about the way Mabini was playing himself out was that parang it was so difficult to get into his like emotional life.
Oh, yes.
Did you encounter that too in your research with him? Kasi parang it seems to me, even with the books that I read about him, he seems to be very like a person who lives in his mind.
Yes. Very, 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 very intellectual siya. And hindi siya yung basta nag-flare out. No? Pero actually, kita ko yung, nagkaroon ako ng insight dun sa personality by reading his letters. Kasi yung formal works niya, it's really, an intellectual analyzing things. Pero yung letters kasi, dun lumalabas talaga yung galit niya. Kasi personal na mga communication kay Aguinaldo at iba-ibang mga tao, yun ang nag-inspire sa akin dun sa confrontation na yung malalambot ang ilong ninyo, ganon. Sa kanya yun words niya yun Nakuha ko yun dun sa letters niya. So sabi ko, ano siya? He's not somebody you can just, di ba, push around. He will fight back.
Yeah, he was a firebrand apparently on the debate floor, no?
Yeah. Tsaka ang irony nun is actually, siya yung paralitiko, siya yung hindi makalakad, pero siya yung merong paninindigan sa kanilang lahat. Sabihin, siya ang pinakamatapang actually, tsaka hindi natitigatig. Siya.
I wanted kasi to also later on like ask you about your decision to sort of focus sa relationship and the anchor that his mother provided in his life and the way you finally decided to portray him. But before that, I was wondering na kasi you belong to this breed of ilustrados during the time. How was it different? For example, with the likes of Sina Jose Rizal and the rest who went to Europe to study.
Kasi ilustrado, ibig sabihin lang enlightened, di ba? So, ibig sabihin educated. Pero dahil nung araw, ang nakaka-afford lang na edukasyon ay yung mga mayaman, naging parang same meaning na yung ilustrado at saka mayaman. Pero that's not completely accurate. Kasi there were a lot of people who were poor who were able to educate themselves, like Mabini, by working. So, working student talaga siya. You could see that the mother was really the anchor. from the very start. Talagang yun ang nagtaguyod sa kanya, yun ang naniwala sa kanya. Although the mother really wanted him to be a priest, no? So he hated that he disappointed his mother, pero he stood his ground and did what he thought he should do, which is law. So yung Revolution Filipina, inaalay niya yung sa ina niya, di ba? Na parang, kasi patay na ina niya by the time eh. So sinulat niya yon, and saka sabi niya, inaalay ko na parang wreath for you. Hindi man ako naging pare, ay meron naman akong maiaalay sa iyo na nagawa para sa bayan.
Dapat nang burahin asan at isip Indyo na sunod-sunuran sa mga Europeo. Kaya't aking sinulat verdadero dekalogo na makatao at makapilipino.
Yung Revolution Filipina ay memoirs niya of the revolution. So sinulat niya yon nung naka-exile na siya sa Guam. At yun ang reflection niya sa nangyari. In other words, his own involvement in the revolution. And yung analysis na yon is really very hard on Aguinaldo. That's where he really denounces him as somebody who really was a bad leader because he could not go beyond his own personal fears and interests, accusing him actually of being responsible for the death of Bonifacio and of Luna directly. At sinasabi niya na kung hindi man nag-succeed ang revolution, basically kasalanan talaga ni Aguinaldo.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier that at some point there was a turning point when we both decided to make it into a musical. And can you go back? Do you remember what inspired us to rethink the whole project as a musical?
Kasi may mga scenes doon na especially, di ba, maraming yung nag-uusap, nagdidebate. And parang you can hear it in music eh. Pati yung confrontation sila, magandang gawing nagdi-debate sila in music, no? So I think that was the concern eh, na ano ito, parang maaaring mag-work talaga siya sa musical. And then doon din nag-gel yung sa music mo rin makukuha yung yung attitude, di ba? Like yung song ng mga Ilustrados, nosotros somos los Ilustrados. On paper, it's supposed to be sarcastic, pero pagka straight play yun, hindi mo makukuha masyado yung ganong klase ng attitude. So, nung ginawa na siyang music, kitang-kita mo talaga. I mean, talagang nakuha yung point, no? Mas malinaw talaga yung mga point na gusto nating i-communicate when it became a musical.
And that was the time we drafted Jed Balsamo to get on board.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And
yes.
then
Maganda yung naging collaboration natin with Jed for this one. Kasi you remember, you, Denisa, and I, we would sit with him.
Yeah, Denisa Reyes, by the way, I should mention, was our choreographer, right? And so, we involved not only the choreographer, and we even involved Toym as early Imao, who was going to be our designer as early, very early in the whole process. And even Kat Chikatoy as the lighting designer, very early in the process. And do remember, it was also from that energy na nag-evolve yung notion of steampunk.
Yes. I think you should talk about that, no? Yung decision mo to do steampunk.
Yeah, actually, it came out from a brainstorm with Toyn Imao, who became our set designer. in one of our early brainstorms, we're looking at visualizing the whole thing, and we landed on the whole idea. We were into discussion na it dawned on us that this generation, including Mabini, were really young people. Diba? Mabini wrote this, got involved, became a leader of the New Republic at a very young age. He was only barely 30. Is that right?
Early 30s, early
30s.
late 20s and early 30s.
Aguinaldo became the president of the First Republic when he was
20, ano lang na, 29.
Right. And then his whole of generals were in their 20s or early 20s. So we said these were really young people who were given this massive responsibility of running a whole new nation.
Mm-mm.
And can you imagine the weight on their shoulders, no? And they went through the whole revolution. So we said practically the first image that came to our mind was punks. These were punks. These were street smart punks. So, and then at the same time, nag-figure in yung notion of turn of the century, which is the Industrial Revolution, the introduction of steam, which practically radically changed just the way the internet changed, I guess, our generation. Steam changed the whole generation. No? So, combining those two, we arrived at steampunk. And alam mo ba, in a strange way, in our first meeting, when I brought up the notion of steampunk, si Toyn jumped up in his seat, pulled out a book that he picked up just arbitrarily from a book sale, and it was a whole book on steampunk.
Mga propietario, lahat. Nosotros somos los ilustrados, handang mag-alay ng talino't panahon.
It was also, in a way, our strategy to sort of bring what might be something dryly historical to connect with the present. No? And it opened up us a lot of staging possibilities and excited us so much. And we even became bolder. And at one point, I sort of threw you a message saying, what if Mabini is going to be played by a female actor?
Yes.
And what was your first reaction?
My first reaction was, okay yata yan. Tapos later on, sabi ko, naku, mag-work kaya yun. Baka after the first 10 minutes, nawala na yung effect ng, di ba, novelty.
Maging gimmicky lang.
Oo. But then later, you prove na pwede siya. Kasi actually, ang isang dahilan din kung ba't nag-work yun, dahil yung buong estilo naman talaga na sinunod was Brechtian eh. So hindi yung ginawang realistic. Ang whole point talaga is that we have some ideas to communicate to the audience. These are ideas of Mabini that are still important in our day. So the whole point was to make the audience think about what the play was saying. And you needed that kind of Brechtian distance, di ba?
Right,
and that distance was afforded by things like that. So, halimbawa, the steampunk already was a distancing technique. So, kasi hindi yun literally yung suot nila ng panahon na yon. So, kaagad, ano ito, di ba? Nakaagad, niisip mo na, bakit? And then, babae pa yung naging Mabini. Lalo ka nang nashock. Sabi, parang, ano to? Paano hindi ako makarelate dito? Right? And then, it went well eh. Ang ganda ng epekto. The music also was like that. Yung na created that kind of a distance. Kasi hindi siya literally all from that period. Nag-mix eh. Merong iba-ibang klase ng traditions in music na pinasok si Jed. So, by and large,
I have a confession to make though. It just evolved into that kind of parang staging rationale in terms of the concept of a Brechtian concept. Fed into that later. Pero the impetus was really actually quite practical. Jed and I, our music director si Jed, were in a quandary kasi sabi namin, how are we going to, if in a musical, it's practically that whole cabinet was all male. Eh. Those figures are all male. How can we make the Mabini voice rise up from these voices?
Yeah.
So he was playing na, okay, what if Mabini is the only tenor, everyone is a baritone? Kasi you have to think about it, how to tell the story musically. So at some point, sabi niya, what if the other way around, baritone si Mabini, tapos finally, we jumped, what if soprano si Mabini? It was a joke. And then finally we said, oh nga, bakit hindi? Bakit hindi natin gawang babae si Mabini? So his voice rises, no, from this really like a cacophony of male, very male cabinet, and then slowly we began. It sort of like grew into this whole concept na it feeds into the whole Brechtian concept. At some point nga, it fed into the whole notion of Asian drama. As you know, diba, in Asian drama, noble characters are played by women. Like priests, philosophers, kings are played by female actors. So they stand out, because they're more refined and so on and so forth.
Which is perfect actually for the Mabini character. Kasi kaya yun ang title niya, Mabining Mandirigma. Kasi Mabini was not only his family name, it was his technical description. He was a gentle person.
Yes, even that sort of like organically fit into place. Diba yung Mabining Mandirigma?
Oh, talaga. To the point na there's one biographer who said na yung isang kababata niya said he had effeminate ways, no? Effeminate does not mean he was gay or anything. Yung hindi siya yung brusco na usual macho, no? So, a very refined person, which I think comes from because he was a thinker, because he felt for other people. So, yung gentleness na yon na-communicate nung choice of a woman to portray him. So, makikita mo din yung difference kaagad between Aguinaldo and Mabini as characters.
Yeah.
That worked very well.
And of course, it thoroughly excited the Tanghalang Pilipino ensemble of actors. These actors are always looking for something that will stimulate them to open up the characterization. Yeah. And definitely when we threw in the whole idea of steampunk, it immediately excited them. Much more the moment we threw in the notion, the idea of that Mabini will be played by a female actor, diba? Or an actress, then mas lalo pang nag-open up at na-excite yung cast. But I should tell you na the very first Mabini was played by Delphine Buencamino. She went through an agonizing process. Alam mo ba yun? And do you know that at some point, like second or third week into rehearsal, she practically backed out.
Yeah.
Do you remember that incident?
Yes.
She backed out because she was agonizing over it. She couldn't somehow she couldn't get her handle on the whole notion why she was playing a Mabini character. But she went back. She was able to look for her handle on the interpretation and came up with a magnificent interpretation. I thought. I mean, it was a very difficult role to originate. Yeah, James Reyes was who has been working with Tanghalang Pilipino in previous productions. We drafted him for the design of this. Originally, you were advising him on the silhouette of the turn of the century costume.
Yeah.
But Steampunk gave him the freedom to bring in naman his contemporary sense of style.
Yes.
And that thoroughly excited him then in terms of making the silhouettes of the turn of the century engage with a more modern punk punk look. We went for, I think, James, I hope you're still with us, but I think our viewers should know that James passed away 2 years ago. But James' color palette, he stayed with basically, if you notice, black.
Black lang siya.
Black and gray, except Mabini. Mabini is the only person in white all throughout.
Completely in white.
And that was deliberate, and it worked so well. Because all throughout you were looking at Mabini, your eyes were just went to him, was the only pristine image on that stage. And not only was he in white, he was the only unlayered white. Everybody had layers on them, like armors. Diba? They had many things hanging on their clothes. They wore vests and coats. They were practically walking around like armored people, right? The people in armors. And then it was only Mabini who was in the most like almost like vulnerable linen, white, simple clothes, which spoke so much of his character, I think.
Which of course also Denise did.
Yes.
Yung choreography niya, may allusions to machines also, diba?
Yes.
Yes. And ibang maganda eh. Sa iba-ibang scenes, iba-iba yung ginagawa niya. Kasi iba yung mga allusions niya. And the gargoyles, whose idea was the gargoyle? Kasi wala sa script yun.
Yeah. Well, I brought in the notion of the gargoyles because it was almost like suggested by the song and the lyrics, your lyrics.
Kung makawala sa mundo ng milagro at madlang misteryong pambulag sa tao, sa birheng lumuluhat, lumalaking Santo Niño at pinapawisan na Santo Entierro.
I thought of like physicalizing it and showing it, and later on we used the gargoyles as characters. They became the imperialists. Yeah. They became different symbols of oppression.
Yeah.
And they would like return later on when Mabini was practically in that nightmare dream sequence where he was practically giving up na.
Yeah.
You know, his gargoyles came back as parang a part of his persona, no, na Dark Angels.
At ang ulila sa magulang, apat na anghel magbabantay.
Yet, this production, we had the rare opportunity to be had like at least 4 restagings in a year, and this rarely happens to Philippine productions. Usually, when we do productions after one run, wala na, we don't see it anymore. And we had this wonderful opportunity to work with 4 wonderful Mabinis. Yeah. It was originated first by Delphine Buencamino. And then we asked Lizelle Batucan to step in. And then Hazel Maranan, who is an actual
relative. Descendant of Mabini.
Descendant ni Mabini. Also played Mabini at some point. And then our last iteration was with Monique Wilson. Now, as a playwright, a librettist, what did you see? What were the things that were happening there in these 4 different versions? For example, yung discrete or unique contributions nila per what would it be?
Ay, yung kay Delphine, talagang ang hirap nung ginawa niya kasi when you originate a role, wala kang mahahawakan, di ba? Ikaw yon, gagawin mo talaga yon. Yeah. You're confronted with this script. Yeah. Anong gagawin ko dito ngayon?
Right.
So, yun, admirable yon na she pulled it off. Talagang yun. I think all 3 should thank her for that because yung difficult part, kumbaga, nagawa na ni Delphine. No? And she was recognized for it with the Phil Stage Best Actress Award, which she richly deserved. And then later, yung kay Lizelle, ang nagustuhan ko dun sa kay Lizelle, yung pag niya ng mga lyrics, mas naintindihan mong mabuti yung kung ano yung nangyayari kasi talagang ang linaw nung the way that she sang the songs and the lyrics were very, very clear. So you could follow what was happening very well. And mas naging human. Especially yung natanda ko yung ginawa niya with Pepe, yung scene nilang dalawa. Naging totoo yung yung chemistry nagkaroon ng caring for each other. And that I think she really worked on with Aldo para lumabas yun. No? Si Hazel, ang husay din ng kanyan. Ang gusto kay Hazel is yung placement ng boses niya na napakalinaw. And ano rin, strength of character that shows all throughout, which is really Mabini. And Monique, admirable. Well,
Yeah.
we remember we originally thought of offering this to Monique,
Mhm.
remember? But
Yes,
she could
yes.
not make it then. So I was very happy na finally we were able to get her kasi talagang bagay na bagay yung role sa kanya.
Yes. And of course, we need to mention that we also have two very fine actors playing
Oh,
Aguinaldo. In
yeah.
the person of Armand Ferrer, who originated the role, and later on David Ezra, who would alternate with Armand for the role. No?
Yes.
Doc Nick, it would have been really nice siguro if we had the opportunity to see all the 4 versions. So hopefully in the future we could stream all the 4 versions so we could re-experience it, and audiences and viewers see the kind of nuance playing that the 4 Mabinis brought into the role. Would you like to invite our viewers to our live streaming of Mabining Mandirigma?
Oh, yes. Well, siguro sabihin natin, ano bang connection dito sa COVID sa nangyayari sa atin ngayon? Actually, kaya ako naisip din na gawin si Mabini dahil ang pakiramdam ko, si Mabini ang bayani na dapat nating buhayin muli para sa panahon natin. Yung mga kinalaban ni Mabini sa panahon niya, yung pa rin yung mga puwersa na kalaban natin hanggang ngayon. So, di ba, nakaaway niya itong mga nasa Kongreso na nandun lamang kasi gusto nilang magpayaman. O edi, nandun pa rin yun hanggang ngayon. Problema pa rin natin. Nandun yung leader na parang hindi masyadong yung interest ng bayan ng kanyang gusto. Ang kanyang sinusunod ay yung sarili niyang interest at saka pinoprotektahan niya yung kanyang sarili. At of course, yung problema natin sa teritoryo natin na nagkakaroon na ngayon ng threat sa ating integrity, territorial integrity, yun ay pinaglaban din ni Mabini nung panahon niya. So, I think importante talaga na balikan natin yung kasaysayan kasi doon makikita kung saan ang galing itong mga problema rin kinakahanan sa kasalukuyan. No? Yung end ng Mabini, tatandaan ninyo, humaharap yung mga actors, audience, at sinasabi nila kung sino ang mga inapo ni Paterno at ni Bencamino sa panahon natin. At yun ay palaging rousing yung reaction doon ng audiences kasi they realize that, you know, Mabini was fighting for the Philippines and against forces that are still with us up to now. And I think that's how history should be presented, na hindi siya patay, siya ay buhay hanggang sa kasalukuyan at kailangan nating harapin.
At sa palagay mo, Doc Nick, ay mapapalitan ba ito? Kasi lahat ngayon ay pupunta na online at virtual na daw at digital na daw because of nangyari dito sa COVID. Sa palagay mo, ay papalitan ng buong-buo na ang karanasan ng pupunta sa live theater ng tinatawag na digital, or babalik pa kaya, makakabalik pa kaya tayo doon sa isang live theater performance, or tuluyan na bang mawawala ang live theater dahil dito sa COVID?
Well, siyempre, ang pag-asa ko ay babalik yung live theater performance kasi there's nothing like the live theater performance to communicate with and move an audience. No? Ibang-iba yung feeling na yon. And nabawa sa performances ng Mabini, dahil dun sa sinasabi nung play at yung reaction ng audience, you're actually forming a community of people who begin to feel and think in the same way. So, mahirap gawin yon kung you're watching by yourself in your home. Iba yun, di ba? Iba yun. There's something about watching the play together and reacting to it as an audience that makes it sink deeper into your consciousness, and it stays with you much longer. Maraming salamat sa panonood.
Dito sa Pansamantanghalan, ang sining
Ang sining
Ang sining
Ang sining
ng bagong tahanan.
subscribe na